Hello everybody, my name is Karhunkorva and I'm a researcher in the Human Forest Relationships in Social Change Research project. Today I'm going to talk to you about private forest owners' relationships with the forest in Finland. My PhD research is in the field of cultural studies in the University of Eastern Finland. It is with an ethnographic and partly autoethnographic approach. I'm concentrating on owners' relationships with the forest. What does it mean to own a forest and how does that affect the wider forest relationship of an individual? And what kind of cultural and intergenerational meanings there are related to forests and forest ownership. The main research material that I'm using are thematic and biographical interviews of 50 forest owners conducted in 2020 and 2021. Other research materials will be also used. I'm only in the beginning of the analysis of these interviews, so here I'm making some preliminary remarks based on these interviews. For this presentation, I looked into my topic and to the interviews to see what kind of cultural and social transitions and tensions, official and unofficial rules, power relations and borders there are in the private forest ownership. Forests in Finland are mainly privately owned. There are over 600,000 private forest owners. About 12% of population owns forest in Finland. They own 60% of the total forest land area in Finland. This means that forest owners are quite important to Finland. The forest ownership is in constant transition. There has been great changes in forest ownership during the decades. The current forest ownership is a result of historical and socio-political developments. Ownership is socially and culturally constructed. The share of farmers and owners living in the rural area has been diminishing for a long time, and the number of wage earners has been growing. The forest owners have urbanized also, like the other society in Finland. The forest owners' goals have been diversified. The economical value and the forest income is not the only target or the goal of forest ownership anymore. Also, female owners, the number of female forest owners have been growing. Still, the forest ownership culture is quite masculine. Forest owners have been aging for a long time. The average age is now 62 years, but now the aging development is slowing down and there will be a great generation change ahead in the near future. As a property, the forest is special in many ways. It differs from other types of property, like a car or a flat. In Finland, forests are perceived partly as a common resource, as a source of national wealth. And forest owners have been, and they still continue to be, important suppliers of wood raw material for forest industry. And because of this, they have been institutionally guided in the use and management of their forests for a long time. And in addition to this, based on the wide everyman's rights in Finland, everybody has access to these private forests. So private forest owners kind of makes it possible to everybody in Finland to form a forest relationship. So many parties other than these legal owners want to influence the use and management of private forests. Owning a forest is a complex issue. There is this psychological side to it in addition to legal ownership. The feeling that something is mine or belongs to me. So there are lots of different forest-related tensions wishes and expectations in the society right now. But there are also personal and family-related tensions, expectations, and wishes that are affecting forest owners. From my research material, tensions emerge, for example, regarding intergenerational differences in the forest relationship within families, and also related to difficulties in generational change. Here, this female forest owner feels that the forest is a sanctuary for her and means family roots for her. The forest, family forest means connection to both nature and the deceased dear grandparents who originally owned the forest. She describes the forest as a cornerstone of her mental health. Love, affection, enjoyment, and good feelings are related to this forest, which is a meaningful place. The forest relationship in this story is threatened, and conflicts are caused by the different forest relationships of father and daughter. The father, who still is the legal owner of this forest, uses the forest in traditional economical way. And the daughter would like to conserve this place. On the other hand, some of the forest owners who uses their forests in a purely economical way feel that they must defend the legal ownership of forests in the society. The economical use, recreational use, and conservation are being contrasted. Here, in this case, the male forest owner's strong feelings are related to the practice of forestry and legal ownership. He describes himself as a passionate forestry practitioner, and he is committed to the great national story of the importance of forest as builders of Finland's well-being. He emphasizes the national economic value of forests. And he feels that he owns a piece of homeland that he wants to take good care of. Negative feelings, fears, worries, and insecurity are related to the threats to forest ownership in the society that he feels are coming from urban nature conservationists. Concern and fear are related to this, and these feelings affect the activities of this forest owner in his forests. Some of the owners are opposing the forest ownership culture that they feel is dominant in the society. And they feel different and maybe a bit guilty about it. The forest sector feels alien to them, and some are questioning the whole forest sector's values. Whenever I hear the word the owner, it feels that now there is a terrible rush to own that forest and to seize incomes from it. This prevailing environment is such. There is a bit of sinful feeling about not being quite like others in this environment. Also, the increasing number of urbanized owners is affecting forest ownership. What does the forest mean for this kind of city owner when the family forest is located far away in the distant rural area? For me, that own forest is not such a big deal. It's this nearby forest here in the city that is the emotional forest to me, rather than those distant forests of our family. So, forest ownership is quite a complex issue. Some of the owners are highlighting also the limits and invisible borders in forest ownership. They are referring, for example, to land use and conservation issues, but also to the fact that the forests are perceived partly common in the society. It is not about your own forest. It is always our forest, the forest of Finns. Or it is owning a piece of nature, or actually you have just rented it. You can't really own it. In other words, it is always on one generation on loan, and then it is passed on to the next. So here was some features of this complex phenomenon of forest ownership in the light of these interviews of private forest owners. Thank you very much for your interest. I am looking forward to discuss you about this, my research. Thank you very much.